I go, I'm putting on. Putting on, putting on. Everywhere I go, I'm putting on. Putting on, putting on. Everywhere I go, I'm putting on. Putting on. Where you from?
Welcome to Popcorn Sports on the Popcorn Entertainment Network. I'm your host, Mike Kyle, and welcome to yet another episode of Why You Should Root for every team in the NBA for the 2018-2019 season. I, of course, am not alone. I am joined here by Steven Dolan of ThunderousIntentions.com. You can follow him on Twitter at SteveThunderFan. He's also the host of the Topic Thunder podcast. Steve, how you doing, man? Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm doing really good. Just up here in Seattle, recording this with my blinds drawn and my audio muted, so none of my neighbors can hear I'm talking about the Thunder.
Oh boy, yeah, that could be an issue a little bit. I know some Seattle fans, I know many Seattle fans are actually still a little bit, they have a wound. It might be larger than others, maybe a heartbreak, something along those lines. But yeah, we'll definitely get into that as we talk about the Oklahoma City Thunder today. A lot to talk about for this team. So my first question for you is, how did you begin to cover the Oklahoma City Thunder?
I think I was covering them with my heart since the first moment that they arrived. Now, covering them officially in the public eye just started actually a little less than a year ago. I cracked some joke on Twitter that impressed the editor, so they asked me if I wanted to join, and I've just really been having fun doing it, man. I can't think of a better hobby to do if you're passionate about a team.
You said that you are originally from Oklahoma City, and you've moved away since then. You're now in Seattle. So when exactly did you move to Seattle from Oklahoma?
Yeah, originally from Tulsa, but from Oklahoma. So I was actually at Oklahoma State University in Stillwater, which is 30 to 40 minutes. Yeah, go Cowboys. 30 to 40 minutes away from Oklahoma City. So I got to go to a lot of games in college. So that was really cool. I moved to Seattle for a girl about 3 years ago. She's in biotech. Now we're married, so that all worked out. And Seattle's kind of the place to be. And by day, I'm an accountant, and I can do that anywhere. So I was just like, yeah, wherever you need to be.
You are the second guest that I've had on that moved to a location because of a girl and ended up becoming your wife. So that's kind of wild.
Well, so, it might be more than that, but the ones they didn't end up marrying, they don't tell you.
Okay. Yes, you're not wrong there either. So let's just kind of dive into the general overview of the Oklahoma City Thunder. So they joined the NBA in 1967 as the Seattle Supersonics, which was mentioned a little bit earlier. They moved to Oklahoma City in 2008, and they're called the Thunder as a reference due to the powerful storms in Tornado Alley over there. Their colors are blue, orange, and white. As the Thunder, 8 playoff appearances, 0 championships, but as the Sonics, 22 playoff appearances and 1 championship, and they play in the Northwest Division with Denver, Portland, Utah, and Minnesota. My question, we'll get into this a little bit later, but you have both dynamics now. As a member, as an Oklahoman, and then as well as now being in Seattle, you kind of have both sides of that coin. Because obviously the organization started off in Seattle. We all know how much Seattle is clamoring to get another NBA franchise there. So what do you make of the whole situation that's going on between the two cities?
Well, first off, one slight quibble. That isn't orange. That's called Sunset, and it's a merging of the Oklahoma University and the Oklahoma State University colors.
No, it's not. Is that really? No way.
It's true. And the blue is the color of the Oklahoma State flag. So they're very careful not to identify that as orange because they will anger the Oklahoma fan base, and that is something to avoid within the state.
You're lying.
No,
I'm actually looking this up. Go ahead. Keep going.
So, yeah, like you said, there's a little bit of tension between the Seattle natives and the Oklahoma City Thunder fan base. You can just ask my boss about that if you don't believe me, because he refuses to talk about the sport in any way, saying that David Stern totally ripped off the city. And it's really hard to argue. I get both sides of the argument. Really, there aren't two sides of the argument, because from the Oklahoma City Thunder fan perspective, what are we going to do? Not root for the team? But from the Seattle perspective, yeah, they got their team ripped away from them, and that's really tough. And I get that. I'm empathetic with it. But like I said, what am I going to do? Not cheer for the team from my home state? No. So you have to kind of play both sides of the fence.
Right, and I did just look it up, and your explanation for the sunset colorway, like that's spot on. That is crazy to me. That's such a great attention to detail right there from the organization. I want to talk about last season, okay? Because I think last season was just really interesting for the Thunder as a whole. There was some miscues, but there was also a lot of success in the season as well that I think was a little bit lost because of those miscues. So they went 48-34. They lost in the first round of the Western Conference playoffs. They tried the big three with Russell Westbrook, Paul George, and Carmelo Anthony. It was a little bit awkward at times. And the season changed when star defender Andre Roberson tore his ACL. So kind of break down last season for me. What do you think were some of the positives as well as some of the negatives?
Well, like you said, there was a pretty good amount of success, but success is all relative, right? Success is relative to expectations, and the expectations for that team were greater. Even if they had made it through the first round of the playoffs against the Utah Jazz, I think that just the regular season and how that went would have let down expectations. They started 8-12. And they got really hot for a little bit there in December and early January until Andre Robertson went down with that knee injury. Now, after that, the defense really just struggled to adjust. They were ranked, I think, the 5th defense when that injury occurred. From the season from there on, they were 17th. They ended up 10th. But they just never really managed to adjust to that injury. And regardless of that, though, after that 8-12 start, they finished on a 56-win pace for that season, which is nothing to shake your head at. But unluckily, I think they ran into the Utah Jazz in that first round. And when that matchup settled to being the matchup, I said at the time, I was like, neither team is happy about this matchup. Like, you got Gobert inside to deter Russell Westbrook from the rim. You've got the Thunder probably had, going into the series, what you would have thought are the two best players in the series. So, like, neither team was happy about that, and it just cold shooting and good defense by the Jazz ended up dooming the Thunder. Now, I would like to say that even though going into the season, you're right, the big three was Russ, PG, and Melo, I think by the end of the season and going into this season, it was pretty obvious to the fan base that the big three actually should have included Steven Adams.
Yeah, absolutely. Steven Adams, especially. I mean, I feel like last year with Steven Adams, you kind of saw the emergence. And I mean, he was always just a super solid role player. But I thought last year, in particular, he really just kind of took that next step.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're even seeing a little bit more this season of them actually giving him the ball and letting him run the offense a little bit. Not really run the offense, but they're giving it to him in positions to do dribble handoffs and make some decisions with the ball. And
yeah,
the guy's still only 25. So, like, we're going to see evolutions of his game. He actually didn't even start playing basketball until he was 18. So, more to come.
Yeah, I think one of the things there, I mean, that's the thing. It's, he's just been with the organization for so long. And so, I mean, this is what, year 3 with Billy Donovan, right?
Yep.
Correct. Year 3, so the system's now fully in place, and now it's just kind of utilizing the pieces that they have. And Steven Adams going forward with the organization is going to be such a big piece of that. And with that, let's just talk about this year's roster, okay? Russell Westbrook, who is just the most dynamic, athletic freak in the NBA. Paul George, Steven Adams, Dennis Schroeder, Andre Roberson, Nerlens Noel, Jeremy Grant, Patrick Patterson, Alex Abrinas. Kind of break down this year's roster for me, because right now, it's like, that's the thing. Russ missed the early, first 2 games of the season, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Right. So I know he missed the first game. And so the current team is currently 0-4 at the time that we were recording this. Mm-hmm. But it's been a little bit interesting, and obviously trying to rework Westbrook into the system because he is such that dynamic player. Kind of just break down this roster for me. What do you think could go on this season?
Well, the struggle has been in 2 major areas, and the first is we are not going to get Andre Robertson back for a little while, so we're going to have to figure out how to play defense without him, and there was a little bit of a move toward trying to figure that out with inserting Jeremy Grant into the starting lineup for Patrick Patterson in this last game, and it worked to an extent, but maybe mostly just Boston missed some shots at first. But yeah, like you said, Russ missed the first 2 games. They were actually fairly impressive against the Warriors, and then they dropped one to the Clippers that you could easily use Russ is gone as an excuse. And then they dropped one to the Kings, and they were actually fairly depressive in that game. And Russ actually played well, so we didn't have that excuse. And then Russ didn't play well against the Celtics, and now we can retrospectively use the rust excuse for the Thunder. But so other than the defense, the other main problem with the roster this season, and it's one that you could predict to a certain extent with how Sam Presti builds his rosters, is the lack of shooting. And look, we all know with how he builds his rosters, he prioritizes length and athleticism over shooting 100% of the time. The old adage is you can teach shooting, you can't teach height, and you can't teach length. So you can expect that to a certain extent, but this is actually something I'm going to write about for Thunderous Intentions tonight. It should run tomorrow. The Thunder have been ridiculously bad shooting, even for them. And the guys that they have missing these shots and the guys that they have missing wide open shots are people that you expect to knock them down. And that includes Paul George, Alex Abrines, Patrick Patterson, even Russell Westbrook and Dennis Schroeder are shooting abysmally from the field, especially from three-point line, especially on open looks and from the free throw line. And I think these are things that we expect to balance out. And we just have to trust the math a little bit and try not to freak out this early in the season.
I want to talk about the dynamic between Westbrook and Paul George, because the biggest, obviously LeBron going to the Lakers was a huge storyline, but Paul George re-signing with the Thunder kind of just broke Twitter, because that's the thing, and the way it happened, being at Russell Westbrook's party when Paul George just comes out on stage and be like, "Hey, I'm re-signing." Like, first off, that was a boss move, and number two, I feel like just kind of gave. I mean, you saw it's gonna pave the way for NBA stars moving forward in small markets, because you saw this with Kawhi in Toronto this year, where Toronto trades DeMar DeRozan, a guy who their fan base loves and who that organization has loved for so long. They trade him to the Spurs to get Kawhi Leonard, and now Toronto is in the same situation Oklahoma City was in last year, where they're gonna try and convince Kawhi Leonard to re-sign up there. So, what do you think this future between Westbrook and Paul George can hold?
Yeah, that day did almost break Twitter, and if you were on Thunder Twitter, it almost broke Thunder Twitter about noon or 2 p.m. that day, because rumors started to circulate about this house party. People knew people on the staff, and people were like, something is happening here. And Paul George was catching a private jet, and like there were clues.
And there was also the barber. Paul George's barber came out and said, "Hey, he's gonna re-sign," and we were like, "Wait, who the hell is this guy?"
That's right. Credit to him, I guess. He turned out to be right. But I mean, the first thing to lead with, and I know this isn't a normal thing to lead with when we're talking about a basketball conversation, is they legitimately seem like very good friends. And I think that had a large part to do with why Paul George decided to stay. So let's just get that out there first off. Sam Presti and the Thunder made a big show when they traded for Paul George about the fact that if they could design a perfect player in the lab to play with Russell Westbrook, well, it would be Kevin Durant, let's face it. But if they could then design a second player, it would be Paul George. He's a perfect fit. He's an excellent catch and shoot three-pointer. He's an excellent defender. He's just really elite in so many areas that Russell Westbrook needs the jelly to his peanut butter, if you will.
Very nice. Very, very well said. What kind of role player do you think is going to really step up for the Thunder this season? Because so far nobody else has really stepped up. So kind of just give me some insight as to what player are you most excited to watch?
There's a lot of excitement within the Thunder fan base right now about the Thunder's second-round pick, Hamidou Diallo, out of Kentucky. And it's somebody that I was excited about right out of the draft, just watching highlight videos. I mean, he went to Kentucky, right? So there's obviously physical tools there. But, I mean, look, I have to just mention, it wouldn't be genuine to the Thunder fan base, that there was a lot of expectations placed on Terrence Ferguson going into this season, and he is really underwhelmed, and it's been really disappointing. And Hamidou Diallo looks like he has all of the traits that Ferguson is lacking at this point, which are confidence, aggression, utilizing his athleticism in a way that makes him noticeable. And the advantage Ferguson has is supposed to be that he's a better shooter, but he's 1 for 9 from 3 on the field on the season, I think. And it just, he looks shaken. And so I think the Thunder fan base right now is clamoring for Hamidou Diallo to play. But me personally, I'm on the hashtag start the Spaniard bandwagon. Alex Abrines needs more playing time, and he's actually taken a large increase in playing time this season, which is good to see. But there's more there. He's the most threatening perimeter shooter on the Thunder. He has the most gravity around the line. People don't leave him under any circumstances. And he's shown a lot of progress on the defensive end. So I think Alex Abrines, if there's one Thunder role player that could really step up and make a difference this season, I think it's the Spaniard.
So rank them: Abrines, Diallo, and I'm like, who'd you just say?
Ferguson.
Who'd you say? Ferguson. Thank you. I'm like, wait a second. I know who this guy is. Why am I blanking? So rank those three for me in order of importance as a role player. Like, who would you like to see get more minutes?
Well, it's fine because Ferguson has played very forgettably this
season.
Yeah,
I was gonna say that's right. It's very fitting.
So you're talking importance if we had a game tomorrow, or like to the future of the franchise?
All right. Let's frame it this way. All right.
Okay.
It's Game 7 versus Utah in a playoff series.
Mm-hmm.
In order of minutes played, so I mean that also translates to importance at the end of the day. Rank those three. Who do you want to have the most minutes, and who do you want to have the least amount of minutes?
I think it goes Abrines, Diallo, and then Ferguson has to be bringing up the rear right now, which is really surprising because there's a lot of potential in this guy, but his confidence is just shaken. Like, you can't throw him in a Game 7 tomorrow. He's afraid to shoot the ball. He's afraid to go anywhere with the ball. He took one shot attempt in the last game, and it was a layup, and he almost blew it. Like, Abrines brings a tangible ability to the court right now, and is hopefully able to just maintain on the other end of the court. Diallo, yeah, he's looked really impressive, but it's been 4 games, and he's played less than 100 minutes in the NBA. Like, there's nothing trustworthy there yet. We know what Abrines is, and frankly, he was really great against the Jazz last season. So if you're specifying this is against the Jazz, I'm gonna go with Abrines.
Fair, very, very fair point there. Now, I would be remiss if I wouldn't talk about the polarizing figure that is Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
Because I am probably your worst enemy when it comes to him. I am one of those. I am a Russ truther in the bad way. In the bad way. I am Russell Westbrook is great, but he's not as good as everybody thinks he is. He's inefficient. He can't shoot from the outside, and he continues to do that. So I am your worst nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure you've heard a lot of people like me. And I'm sure you have your responses and your stats to back up your boy. So go ahead, make the case for why Russell Westbrook is I think that's the thing. I still think Westbrook is like a top 3 point guard. So I'm not trying to discredit him entirely. I just don't think he's as good as everybody thinks he is. So go ahead and make your case for your boy here.
Well, I guess so who's your second point guard then? Who are your top 2? Okay. I don't think that you think he's worse than everyone thinks he is. I think that's a fairly consensus opinion, and I happen to think he's a little bit better than Chris Paul, and that's just based on basically their matchups over the years. I don't think Chris Paul can handle him. Now, yeah, he is inefficient, and he takes some bad shots sometimes. But, I mean, look, the guy is, as you said, at the least, from a Westbrook truther, from a, dare I say, Westbrook hater.
Right, yes.
That's how you characterize yourself, right?
Yes.
I guess what I'll say is I don't feel like you are. I feel like if anybody else is trying to be out here saying that Westbrook is better than Curry, or to say that there's not even an argument to be made for the fact that Chris Paul is on his level, then they're in the wrong. And look, I'm as big of a Westbrook fan as exists. You can go read my articles on Thunderous Intentions if you want. I've written a couple that are just glowing and unabashedly in love with Russell Westbrook. I think he is one of the most transcendent, incredible fireballs full of razor blades that has ever played basketball in the world. And I love watching him play. But he has flaws. And if you're saying, oh no, he's the third best point guard in the league, like, that's fine. That's pretty good.
Right. Yeah, see, like that's the thing, though. It's like, imagine if he had an ounce of efficiency in him.
Yeah.
He would be incredible. Because,
No,
you know,
you know what he would be. You know what he would be. He would be the 2017 MVP Russ, because he shot 34.6% from three that season. That's fine. That's good. That was like a couple tenths of a percentage point away from James Harden, who we all laud his efficiency. So, like, we've seen it. If he can be that, we've seen what it is, and it's MVP of the league.
Yeah, but like, that's the thing. It's like, right now, it hasn't looked pretty. It hasn't looked good. I think he's, 1 of 11 from three. He shot 0 of 5 versus the Kings. Mm-hmm. Correct? And then versus the Celtics, he was 1 of 6, I believe.
Yep. And if you watched either of those games...
Which is the story of Russell Westbrook's career right there. 1 of 11 from 3 in games like that.
1 for 11 is not the story of his career, but if you watch those games, he was so short on every jumper. He was hitting the bottom of the front of the rim, not the top of the front of the rim.
Yeah.
His legs just aren't there yet, and his stamina is not there yet. But, like, overall, I agree he's not an efficient player, but let's not overreact to 2 1-11 games coming back from a knee surgery where he hasn't been able to do cardio for 5 weeks.
Very fair. And the thing about his jump, like, that's the thing, his jump shot, first off, he has cemented, like, the signature one dribble into the lane pull-up jumper. But
yeah.
His jump shot, like, his mechanics, and this is not, like, one of those Lonzo Ball things, because I think his jump shot looks, like, really nice. He's perfectly, like, square, perfectly tucked in. Like, he's like a pencil when he goes up. Everything is just straight. And you're like, how does he not make more of these?
Well, what you like to see with him is when he shoots it on the way up a little bit. Sometimes you'll catch him shooting it on the way down, and that's when he misses usually. And that's a problem when his knee's not 100% conditioned right, because he's not getting quite as high as he wants to get. So his timing dictates that now it's on the way down. And now
absolutely. And timing is everything for a shooter.
Yep.
Right. All right, let's talk about the fan base, the fun, the culture surrounding the Oklahoma City Thunder. It's a super small market, but for a small market, I mean, dude, like, these fans are incredible. Every single night it's sold out. They pack the seats. My favorite Thunder tradition is that they don't sit down until the first basket is scored by the team. And obviously, we talked about earlier, there's the faction that says bring back the Sonics. But kind of just break down the Thunder fan base, the culture surrounding the teams, and things like that. You can even go into your thoughts about Thunder Twitter as well.
Okay. Well, I think we've kind of touched on this a little bit already with the sunset color. Not orange, not red. Sunset. It's a very college-themed fan base, right? It's
That's a really good. That's a great analogy.
Yeah, because until this team came, all you had was OU football and OSU football. And that's kind of how the fan base cut their teeth on sports. So the same with the standing until the first basket, like, that's a college thing. That might even be a high school sports thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So, you know, you got Loud City up in the rafters. There was, through the first few years of playoffs, there was actually a really cool Thunder Alley going on outside the gym for playoff games, but that got shut down due to some tomfoolery. But yeah, it's a very passionate fan base. They sell out every game. They're there every game. 18,203 people just yelling their lungs out until the fourth quarter ends. You rarely see the fans leave early or arrive late. It's really great. They're very optimistic and very passionate. And honestly, this and last season are the first times that I've ever seen kind of a dip in the optimism, because for a long time it was this kind of linear increase in success. And even through Russell Westbrook's MVP season, it was like the glow was still on the franchise. And this is the first time, injuries aside, that the team ever took a real dip from expectations. They had always exceeded expectations. So we're dealing with that for the first time, and there's a few warriors like me out there, I guess, trying to keep the fan base
rally
positive.
the troops. Rally the
troops, exactly, and just say, look, if I know you're new to basketball, but like math will win, so like just be patient.
Excellently well said. Break down Thunder's Twitter. Thunder. I said Thunders like it's plural. Thunder. Break down Thunder Twitter for me because
you could have just made it possessive.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, actually, they treat it like it too. So yeah. I mean, because they are like that's the thing. It's like they are like one of the most passionate NBA fan bases, even if they are just such a young franchise. I mean, they take the bull by the horns, man, when it comes to social media. So kind of break down your experience there.
Well, you see the same thing you see with every team, which is just the kind of pet arguments that people make, where you'll just see a whole thread of people making an argument, is Russ or James Harden better, with just the same stats you've seen 100 times. So that's the negative side, is kind of the I don't know, adolescent the adolescent version of the fan base. But again, like you can't ever overstate the value of passion within a fan base. And I feel like Thunder Twitter, despite the lack of population, has a real presence on NBA Twitter.
Yep.
And that's just because of passion and
Russ.
And a history of success helps.
Yeah,
you don't
absolutely.
lose the fans; they kind of continue to build. But I think passion is the main characteristic of Thunder Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, like just the way that they've rallied around, and you touched on it too. The way that they've rallied around that team since they moved to Oklahoma City has been nothing short of sensational. So we'll wrap it up with this. You have 30 seconds to pitch anybody why they should be a fan of the Oklahoma City Thunder this season. The floor is yours.
Okay. Well, the Thunder are never boring, and that's the most of the pitch. You went from Katie and Russ as the young guys. You went from 23 wins to 50 wins. You went from crashing the finals before their time, and then you went to the injury, and then you got Katie leaving, national news. You got Russ MVP. You got trade for Paul George. You got trade for Carmelo Anthony. You got Paul George resigning, and now we're here. And I just didn't skip 6 months without saying something interesting in a 10-year history of the team. So if you want a reason, they're never boring.
That is phenomenal. When you put it in a timeline like that,
yep.
I mean, oh my goodness. You're right. Like, since they've moved to Oklahoma City, there hasn't been, like, a drop-off in hype or a drop-off in just commotion for the NBA scene. Like, that's crazy. All right, Steven. Well, excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Steven Dolan. You can follow him on Twitter at SteveThunderFan. He covers the Thunder for ThunderousIntentions.com. He's also the host of the Topic Thunder podcast. Steve, you got anything else to plug, my man?
Just that you can find the Topic Thunder podcast at OKC Topic Thunder. And that's basically it. Check out my stuff on TI, ThunderousIntentions.com. I write there fairly regularly. And, man, I'm just a passionate Thunder fan. And if you want to have a team to be passionate about, come join us over on Thunder Twitter. We'll be glad to have you.
Awesome. Well, Steve, thank you so much for coming on, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right, hey, if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe down below. We're doing this for every team in the NBA, so be sure to stick around for your favorite team. And with that, we'll catch you next time.